Let's learn some physics.
In today's physics video, we'll be discussing over 8 physics concepts seen within F1. We have lift, friction, torque, Newton's second law, Venturi effect, rotational kinematics on the tire, centripetal force, and elasticity. Well, what is lift, you may be asking? Yeah, I have no clue. I just know you use this equation to model it right here. But after research, I can tell you, it's equivalent to getting better speed on the road. Let me explain. You know, during races, when they say,
DRS wide open for Max Verstappen once again. He is closer than he was on the previous lap to Charles Leclerc.
lift is decreased in these situations. See, when those wings on a Formula 1 car open, the angle of the wing and surface area in contact with the air decreases. As a result, based off our equation, lift is supposed to decrease. See, lift being decreased is helpful for these F1 drivers to increase their speed and get overtakes. Since they have a smaller force normal, friction is decreased, and as a result, there's this force not pushing against the car. As a result, increase in speed for the car as it minimizes lift. I discussed friction a bit before in the previous section, but I'll discuss more specifics about it within Formula 1. The main type of friction we're dealing with is kinetic friction, which can be modeled by the equation, the coefficient of kinetic friction times our force normal. However, there's other ways friction can play a key role within F1 besides cornering, even though it is very important. For example, the tires themselves. You see, in F1, you're given a limited amount of 3 types of tires: soft, mediums, and hard. Within each tires, you have different types of coefficient of kinetic friction. Softs, you have a high coefficient kinetic friction leading to greater grip but faster wear out. Mediums, which are mediums, and hards, which have less grip but last longer. So as a result, these types of tire, as a result of friction, play a key role as principals or strategists have to decide what tires they should use to keep their drivers in the lead. So therefore, friction, which is modeled by the equation, coefficient of kinetic friction times force normal, plays a very key role within F1, as it can lead to major changes with different tires and great overtakes by them.
What is torque? Simply put, torque is a twisting force, like using a wrench. In F1 cars, the engine creates this twisting force to spin the wheels. Here's where gears become crucial. F1 cars have 8 forward gears, and each gear is a torque multiplier. Think of it like a lever system. Lower gears give you more mechanical advantage. The first gear might multiply the engine's torque by 4 times, which is why drivers can launch from sharp turns with explosive acceleration. As you shift up, that multiplication decreases. By the 8th gear, there's barely any multiplication, maybe just 1.0 times the engine's base torque. This is the fundamental trade-off. Lower gears sacrifice top speed for incredible acceleration, while higher gears sacrifice pulling power for maximum velocity. This is why F1 drivers constantly shift. They're chasing the perfect balance between torque multiplication and speed.
Newton's second law is an equation where it says the sum of the forces in a direction is equal to the mass times acceleration. Well, this concept is seen in F1. See, F1 is all about cornering and fast acceleration. See, these cars want to minimize the weight, so when the force that the engine is applying will result in greater acceleration, because based off the equation, force equal to mass times acceleration, smaller mass must mean that there's a greater acceleration if you're applying that force. So, when the force of the engine is being applied on the car, most of it is going to acceleration and making the car go. The Venturi effect. I thought this thing would be really hard when I first saw the equation, saying, what the is this? Anyways, after digging through, this effect here is really just a specific case of Bernoulli's principle. You see, Bernoulli's principle is saying that our initial pressure plus the kinetic energy plus the gravitational energy must be equal to our new pressure plus our kinetic energy plus our new height. Well, but the Venturi effect is basically saying that when air or fluid is in this smaller pipe traveling, there must be lower pressure here in this traveling in the tube. So in the equation, it's basically saying that the difference between the initial pressure and the final pressure after exiting the smaller tube must be equal to the velocity difference. Well, it's just a rearranged form of Bernoulli's principle. So, how do F1 engineers use this principle to their advantage? Well, it means that lower pressure for this car means getting sucked into the ground and resulting in more traction. And F1's all about traction. So engineers try to make the underside of these cars have narrow undersides so they can gain big traction and going to have better cornering for these cars. So Venturi's effect is a rearranged form of Bernoulli's principle and basically demonstrates that faster speed of the air results in better traction for the underside of the car. So
Rotational kinematics is the physics of spinning motion. In F1 turns, everything rotates. Wheels, the steering wheel, and even the entire car rotating around the corner's center point. Here's the physics at work. As an F1 car enters a turn, the front wheels create angular velocity, steering the car through rotational motion. The car's center of mass, meanwhile, follows a curved path with angular acceleration. Each wheel has different rotational speeds. Outer wheels spin faster than inner wheels since they travel further around the curve. The steering input creates angular displacement, rotating the car's direction at a specific angular velocity. During trail braking, drivers manage both linear deceleration and rotational acceleration as the car pivots. The faster the angular velocity through turns, the more centripetal force is needed. F1 cars generate enormous downwards force to create the grip needed to produce the centripetal force at high rotational speeds.
Centripetal force is the equation mass times our centripetal acceleration, or v squared over r. So, why is this important in F1? Well, you see, F1 needed to take tight corners as quickly as possible. So, that's why they make their car as light as possible, so then they have a greater velocity. See, if there wasn't a centripetal force acting on the driver or the car, then the car would go straight and the driver would also go straight. And that wouldn't be quite good for the race as a whole. See, this centripetal force is necessary to have these F1 drivers make crucial turns and keep the race going. Then, thanks to centripetal force acting on the car, F1 drivers are safe and you can have an eventful race.
F1 wings aren't rigid. They're designed to flex under aerodynamic load. This elasticity is crucial physics that teams exploit for performance. Here's how it works. As speed increases, aerodynamic pressure pushes down on the wings with enormous force, almost 1,000 kilograms at high speeds. The carbon fiber elements flex in specific ways under this load. Front wings deflect downwards, changing their angle and reducing drag at high speeds while maintaining downward force at low speeds. Rear wings flex backwards under pressure, creating a streamlined profile on straights for better top speed, then return to their aggressive angle when speeds drop in corners. Teams calculate the perfect balance. Too stiff and you lose advantage. Too flexible and you fail regulations. This controlled elasticity gives teams an automatic drag reduction system without driver input.